Brad, 2 days in, how's it going for your group?
You know what? It's spring. I love the energy. The guys are, especially the few older guys that we have that have been around the program as long as they have, done a really good job of bringing along the young guys. They're doing. It's like we have, 4, 5, 6 extra coaches out there because they're coaching all the youngins. But you look out there and you realize, there's some youth, but there's a lot of energy with that youth, and every day, the game slows down a little bit. So I thought. We were a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, technique-wise today as opposed to Tuesday, and that's what we need through these 15 practices of spring. Is just make incremental steps every day.
Right, with so much depth at linebacker with the 3 super seniors coming back, is the spring opportunity to move some guys around to get your best 11 on the field to experiment a little there, or do you just say that'll work itself out?
Yeah, I think that'll work itself out. Some of those guys, those super seniors that have been here for a while, you want to keep them sharp and sort of work on specific things with them that, you come off of last year's film that you want to get better. But it's really a really big time for young guy development. So you don't have to stress, put 1,000 reps on their legs. You'd rather, get a couple to keep them sharp and clean, but then let them see the field from sort of a coaching lens. And I think you learn a lot from that. It's amazing when you have to think outside just your box, and now you have to think from a bigger picture from the sideline. I think it makes them better players. And so when we turn the coaching hat and whistle and clipboard over to those guys, say, all right, you coach, right? They take some ownership in that, and it's been good.
You haven't gotten a guy like Jerry Jackson back last year in the last part of the season, give him some games in, so help to be a carryover for him. And you want to work out and spring practice and all for him to continue to improve.
There's no doubt. And really what he was able to do, from the injury in spring to the back end of the season, I mean, we may not, we needed him desperately, in those last 2 games against Louisville and Iowa. And the fact that he was able to play as many reps as he did, coming off an Achilles, is a testament to his work ethic and his ability as a football player to sort of find the ball naturally. There's some things that obviously, you're rusty when you're off that long. Now he's able to basically start with a head start coming into spring. And no, he's going to be a big part of this defense.
Jordan and JJ, how are they progressing, and how big will it be to kind of have both those guys together and healthy this year?
You felt the difference when the both of them were on the field together. It's a huge. For me as a coordinator, you can feel it. Like when you play with 2 really big edge defenders. Last year, we were so light at outside linebacker. With Jordan being, having to go through some injury stuff. That we had to play sort of smaller, which isn't, necessarily the way that we've played the previous years. We play base more than most. So to have those 2, it's a big difference for us. And excited to obviously get Jordan back for that super senior year, and then you get Square and Jaquez in that mix. You mentioned 3 super senior linebackers at that level. JJ's like a senior. When you think about how long he's been in this program with a COVID year and all that, it's we got a chance to be really good at that level. But we got to stay healthy, and we have to continue to develop.
We've obviously seen Carrington play a lot at corner, but the other guys are all really inexperienced. Who are you excited about at that spot to kind of step up and see this spring?
Yeah, I think Drew Phillips over the first 2 days has really flashed, which is good, and he needs to continue to progress. When you think about some of those guys, and he's really essentially, this is like his second year, even though it's his 3rd year for some of the time missed. It's really essentially like his second. So this is a big progression year, but he's done some good things here through the first 2 days. We're bouncing around. I know we're trying some different guys. I know Coach mentioned, we're try Vito out there a little bit just because of his athleticism and ball skills and instincts, but he's a guy that you can move around into some different spots. We know what he can do, sort of at that medium nickel position. Again, that's, you had mentioned before, spring is a time to experiment with a few different, sort of unique combinations, different positions. What you don't want to do is just say, I'm just going to willy-nilly do some, and all it does is clog their mind with a whole new position. And you can't bounce guys to 2 or 3 or 4, because unless they've been an old guy in the system that understand the entire scheme, all you're going to do is confuse them and slow them down. So, there's a little bit of an art to that too. But no, I think our guys are doing well. I've been pleasantly surprised. Obviously, losing Josh, losing Marquand, younger. You think about I think the oldest guy up front there in the D line is that class with Justin and Josiah, and they're really essentially sophomores, going into their 3rd year in the program. That's the oldest you have up there. So a lot of youth, but there's some talent, and they're playing with a lot of energy so far. And Coach Stewart does a great job technique-wise with those guys.
Those 2 guys you mentioned, Bully and Josh, a lot of presence to them that you lose, both vocally and in Josh, in a lot of ways intangibly. How do you fill that void with those guys? Who has to step up to kind of be?
Yeah, I think they're going to do it sort of collectively as a group. I don't know if there's necessarily one person that's going to do. I think they're all in that room and to hold themselves accountable. I think having such strong leadership at the linebacker level, you sort of, instead of making it sort of separate position groups, it's sort of a front 7. And they're going to feed off of Square and Jaquez and Jordan Wright and JJ Weaver, guys that have been around it, and so they're sort of surrounded in that umbrella, of leadership right there. But you've got guys in that room. You've got Ox and you've got Trey, and we're going to push, Justin and Josiah and some of those guys that have been around the longest. They need to start, elevating, and I think they've done a good job. Sam and Ollie's been a really good job in there in terms of holding each other accountable. So again, I think it's an exciting room from the fact that there's some unknown. I think we're going to have to. It's less reliant on a single guy or 2 guys, and it's going to be more of a group effort there. And I think that excites. Hey, listen, we're going to play. I'm not just going to be standing on the side. We're going to rotate guys through, and we're going to be fresh, and we're going to be active, and then we're going to put the next guys in. But they all have to be ready, because you sit there with a bunch of veteran linebackers behind you. They're going to want you in the right spot, and they're going to demand that you end up in the right spot.
What do you expect from Darian Henry Young? He didn't play a ton at Ohio State. He's an older guy, but he's obviously learning a new system and all that this spring.
Yeah, you sort of have to view that as a young guy a little bit, in that he's learning the system, but he's come in with an open mind. He's done well to sort of just fit right into that group. And so I don't ever want to say, hey, I'm expecting big things. I'm expecting big things from all our guys as they develop. But early on, I just want to see him make improvements day by day, and he's shown that. In the way we do things is a little bit different, than some other places, and but he's bought in 100%, and that's all you can ask for.
The mid-year guys, what have you seen from them?
It's fast. It's fast for them. These first 2 days, it's not high school, and it's the SEC. So, but I've been, they're competing, they're trying. You can obviously see that they're swimming a lot. You have to do a lot of coaching, pre-snap with them, and as much as you can. But what you kind of want to do is you want to help them pre-snap, and then you just got to let them go. And it's not always going to be clean or right, but I want to see them play fast. I don't want them thinking throughout the down. So now we're a long way away from seeing if those guys are ready.
Brad, how's the relationship been with Mike? Obviously, that's a guy that's had a ton of experience to your room.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you get he's come in again, with a ton of experience. Now, obviously, our system and our terminology, just like any other time you have a job transition, there's just some terminology that you have to work through. But he's been it's been smooth. in that regard. He's been great to work with, really good in the staff room. And, I think at the end of the day, Coach, with all his hires that he makes, it's about finding the right fit and people that come in and understand the way we do things and buying into the way we do things. And Mike, no different. He's done a great job. I don't think we're going to see any kind of step back, regression, whatnot. So, and obviously he brings a lot of good ideas from different places that he's been. So, we're always looking to push the envelope and progress. We are what we are, from a base standpoint. But if you stay stagnant too long, teams will pick you apart. So we every year we try to sort of reinvent ourselves a little bit, whilst trying to stay into to our core.
Brian, JJ, we talked last year about even though he was productive, he wasn't really 100% coming back off the injury. Can you already tell the value of that?
You can,
win,
yeah, 100%. You can see that he is, the confidence level right now is sky high with him, and he's playing. He's playing fast. He's talking. When the ones run out, in the past he would sort of defer to the older guys. Now he's out there and he's the one, let's say hyping them up. The nice thing is our old guys, they're pretty juiced to start, but you can vocally hear him, which is a great sign. And he's coaching the young guys. He's coaching, those next guys that come in. He stands right on the sideline. I was joking with him after practice one. I said, "Hey, look, we're playing with 12 on the field," because he was on the tick marks on the sideline trying to coach up a young Jack. So he's very involved, and I'm looking forward to a really big season from him.
The nose is so important to what you guys do. Can you talk a little bit about those guys who'll be competing in there and what they need to give you?
Yeah, so you've got Justin, you got Josiah, and you got Jamarius, Dinkins in there, and all three of them sort of provide. Justin, Josiah, a little bit the same, but still have some differences in terms of how they play. Justin's like a block of granite in there, just really hard to move. Josiah's done a nice job showing some quickness in his movement this spring, and Dink, he's a taller, longer nose right now for us, and he creates all kind of problems, kind of like Hugh did. When you're longer in there, you can get on the center so quickly with your hands, and he's so heavy. He's got heavy hands. He's got a heavy sort of dense body that he's hard to move out of there. So not nearly sort of, we're not as experienced as we were maybe in the past, but you think about how many reps Justin and Josiah have like those. I don't look at them as new. I look at them as, hey guys, you guys have started games before. You guys have played significant snaps. When Marquand got hurt in Florida in Series 2, those two had to take the bulk of the reps essentially for 5-6 games. Going to count on those two big time, and then I think Dink's going to progress good for us.
Talk about Vito being moved around, trying to find the best place for him. Is he kind of guy you can move around different places and try, not really get confused and get.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Again, it's he's already had to move around, a couple of different places. Safety, when he first got here, and then down, and we needed him so much last year at medium, so that out of corner. The nice thing is the positions that he's played in that strong safety, field corner, medium position are all within the same sort of field triangle. So you've got an idea of what that other position was doing ahead of time, because in most cases you're all three working in tandem. So you got to be, again, smart in that role.
It's a little strange to look at that safety spot at times. There were some guys who've been around forever and they're not back there anymore.
You know what? It's the nature of college football. You get used to looking out there in spring, and guys change numbers, and seniors graduate, guys declare or whatever, and so you get used to it being a different group. But yeah, 29 had been back there a long time, and obviously wish him nothing but the best, and he's going to have a heck of a career there in the NFL. But I'm excited. I think getting Ty back was big. Again, another super senior back there, and then Jalen Geiger playing as many reps as he played last year. I think he's sort of brimming with confidence, which is good. Like he needed to, and he's starting to find his voice. That's a big challenge for him. Is hey, be loud. Yusuf for 3 years was sort of the ultimate verbal communicator in the back half, and now we have to find sort of a new mouthpiece, and those guys have to step up. Obviously, Ty, has been around, so he knows, which checks to make and all. But we need both those sides.
All right, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you.